this what you're using?
This one.
Let me have your cup. Okay. Adam, knock your phone down.
We are Radio Lex, voice of the community, WLXU 93.9 LP FM, Lexington, Kentucky. Inside, swallow my doubt, turn it inside out, find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender, watch it spin around to a beautiful oblivion. Rendezvous, then I'm through with you. I burn like a wicker cabinet, soft white and oh so frail.
Did she put it on the wrong one? We tell Victor I need him.
Yep.
Tell him I got it. Never mind. I got it. Yes, I got it.
Working now?
Yep, I got it. They had the queue all the way down. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome everybody to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening to us on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you can download the Radio Lex app on your smartphone device to listen to us anywhere in the entire world. Amber Turner and I are both broadcasting from the Deborah Hensley Studios here at Radio Lex on North Limestone. Amber, how are you doing today?
Adam, it's a scorcher today.
It's hotter today than I believe it's been all year.
I can see the sweat beads are rolling off your forehead today.
That's partly the stress that I've been dealing with.
I will say, this was probably the stressful first half of a show we've ever had.
Well, just before we got started, there was just a lot of stuff happening, but it's good to be here with you. It's good to be on the air. Last week, I started the show talking about first day of school, and, because first day of school is in full bloom. For a lot of places, people are in full swing of school.
Oh, like fourth week of school for some people.
Fourth week?
Well, I think.
Yeah, well,
Maybe I made that up. I think I made 4 weeks up.
for the most part, students have been in for at least a week. But we talked about high school situations last week on the show. We talked about some of the things that you used to do in high school that back then in the bubble of high school, it's a normal world. But outside in the real world, it's completely insane. Like carrying a hall pass made out of grass or something like that.
Well, I mean, we did talk about chocolate milk and pizza not going together, and I still stand against that one. I think it does.
Well, we talked about high school, but high school is not the only entity of educational institutions starting. College is starting as well. Most colleges are having their move-in day. They are moving into the dorm, and we've had whole conversations before about what it's like to move in to the dorm. There ain't nothing like it. I see the pictures of people moving into their dorm, and I'm like, man, you're about to have a good time, but I don't want to be back there.
I don't want to sleep on those beds again.
Yeah. It's like, I'm glad I did it. I've been there. I've done that. I don't want to go back.
Best, worst 2 years of my life living in the dorm.
The best 2 years?
The best, worst 2 years of my life.
I can get behind that. I can get behind that. But I bring it up, Amber, because in college, we hear all kinds of things that people tell us about college before we go.
Yeah.
We hear all kinds of quote-unquote myths, is what I like to call them.
Ooh.
Yes, because when we go to college, for anybody who's been to college, you realize that a lot of the stuff people told you about college was a lie.
Phooey.
Yeah, it was untrue. So, Amber, I took to the internet and I got on one of my favorite websites as of late, Reddit.
Okay.
And-
oh my Lord, you didn't tell me that's where you were.
And Reddit is great because it's just normal people posting thoughts and opinions.
There's nothing normal about Reddit.
Nothing normal about it. But some people on Reddit shared some of the myths that they found out later wasn't true when they attended college themselves.
Okay.
And I picked out some of the best ones that I want to share with you in the audience.
I bet everything I thought I knew was going to be on this list.
So one person writes on Reddit, they say, growing up, your only real understanding of, well, it says, here's what it says. It says, one user writes, it's a lie. It's a lie. There are no cliques. Ultimately, there was a huge social hierarchy at my college, and people were desperate to fit into a huge group of friends. I loved the friends I made and experience I had, but there was absolutely different groups of people who made themselves out to be exclusive and popular. And that's true. High school really never ends when it comes to cliques and popularity.
Contests.
It don't. It happens in college, and guess what? It happens after college.
Especially at work.
It's the game of life. It's what people do. They want to be popular. They want to be cliquey, and sometimes that carries over. That carries over. Another person writes, it's not true that you'll get a job. It's not true that you'll get a job if you get a degree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ain't that the truth?
100%.
Think about how many pointless degrees are out there, and think about how many people went to college that are even listening right now that aren't doing what they went to school for.
I love that you're pointing at me.
Another person writes that you'll meet the love of your life there.
Negative.
You won't meet the love of, I mean, you could.
I mean, I did meet Natty Light.
I know. I know a lot of people who met their significant other, but for the most part, when I'm thinking about it, they knew each other before college.
Yeah.
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 Let's see. Another person writes that grades are a reflection of who you are. That's very untrue, because I didn't get the best grades in the world, but I don't feel like that I fell off the back of a turnip truck. Another person writes that the friends you make will be lifelong.
I definitely have a few of those, but I'm going to go ahead and say that one probably ain't the most accurate.
Another person writes, it's not true that the professors don't help you. I know this isn't universal, She writes, but she also says, I've had my share of professors who were sink or swim, but I have found that the majority of my professors were willing to go above and beyond to put in effort for you.
Absolutely. Treat them like people and they'll treat you like people.
And speaking as a college professor, I will say I just got off the phone with a student before I got on the air. I'm always helping my students. My students can call me at any time and I will help them at a reasonable time.
Yeah.
But anytime they have questions about school, I'm more than willing to help.
Yeah.
I love my job. I like what I do. And I appreciate when somebody wants to learn.
Well, it has to make it a little bit easier, too.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does make it a lot easier. Here's another thing that someone writes. They wrote, when I was in 7th grade, some of my cousins told me that colleges could look at your search history, and I believed them. I immediately went through all my search history, deleted it, and purposely searched for stuff like how to solve quadrics or what does I represent, so I would sound smart and hardworking to colleges. I don't know if colleges look at your Google history, but I do know that whatever you get online using the college server, they can track.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at porno in your college dorm, the college sees your search history.
They know what you watch.
They know what you're watching. They know what you're watching. See, another person writes, it's a lie that campus parking is free with tuition.
Literally, I had to laugh out loud on that one.
Another person writes that employers care about your GPA. That's untrue. Employers don't care about your GPA. I have never had an employer say, Adam, you got a 3.1. We can't hire you here because we only want you unless you got a 3.5. They only care about the degree that you got. What's plastered on that degree is what they care about.
What's that piece of paper say?
Another person writes that somebody said to her, don't major in blank unless you want to be unemployed. Is so not true. While some degrees might give you a better chance of finding employment after college, the reality is that the job market is unpredictable, unstable, and unforgiving no matter what degree you have. It doesn't matter the degree that you have. There's so many people with law degrees. There's so many people with just degrees in history and degrees in English that aren't using them.
Nope.
And
They find they make more money doing other things.
yeah, and that's okay.
But the beauty was they graduated college, and that's what people look at. Did you graduate college?
College isn't for everyone, and it never was meant to be for everyone.
No.
I have said before, I think that people should go to college for the experience, because you're never going to get that experience ever again. But while you're getting that experience, just get a little education on the side.
Well, now, you read us all these Reddit myths. Did you have any myths that you just absolutely thought this is going to happen when I go to college?
I got really nervous about the whole bathroom shower situation.
Yes.
I was really anxious about that before I went to college because I started college in 2006 and it was kind of in between the transition between having actual doors on showers and just having a little curtain. Actually, I think colleges used to, Amber, at least they did at Moorhead, they used to not even have curtains. It was just a big old shower with a bunch of nozzles.
No, I'm not doing
with
that.
a bunch of like shower heads, and about 20 men could go in there, stand, and shower with no curtains. You talk about an invasion of privacy.
Well, that's why I specifically paid more to get a bathroom in my room when I lived in the dorm.
You think?
That's why I did.
Wait, you got a suite?
I did. I had a suite because you know what my myth was?
What?
That if I used the showers in the dormitory bathrooms, I 100% would get a foot fungus. Now, keep in mind, I used to walk around in the creeks barefoot all day, and there I was just petrified, willing to throw money over money to get a room with a bathroom, so I didn't have to get that mowed on my feet.
Right. Another myth they say is, somebody writes, that it's a lie when somebody says that it doesn't matter if you don't know what you want to study right away and you can switch your major at any time. Part of that's true, but you got to understand, money, it costs money to go to school. Time is money, and money is time, so you really can't afford to switch your major too much.
Not too much.
You really can't. Oh, and another myth, Amber, personally, that I was crushed when I got to college to find out, that the dorms were not set up like Saved by the Bell the college years.
I thought you were going to say that girls weren't pillow fighting in the dorm rooms.
I don't know if that happened or not, but I did get in trouble a couple times for being in girls' room past midnight. I was always in the dean's office for something like that in the dormitory.
Adam, I snuck you into my dorm. Do you not remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I think everybody who's went to college has snuck.
I think every person. I snuck a whole roommate in.
Yeah.
I just moved somebody in.
Yeah, let's go ahead and incriminate ourselves right here on the air. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got lots more off the cuff coming at you live after these words. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
This is Destiny from Success Academy. You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people. WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
Are you being threatened with eviction because of COVID-19? Is your landlord being uncooperative with filing for relief funds? The Lexington Human Rights Commission can help. We investigate discrimination claims, and there is no fee for our services. If you have a discrimination complaint, you can file it online at lexhumanrights.org or call us at 252-4931.
Lexington Community Radio is proud to have the support of founding community partner and State Farm agent Deborah Hensley. Deborah believes in giving every member of our community a chance to let their voice be heard to unify and strengthen our city. To learn more, you can visit deborahhensley.com or call 276-3244.
Radio Lex has the support of vinyl sponsor, the JCC Group family of companies. thejccgroup.com.
They always put that, but it never works. But whatever.
Living your life after death. Every move I make, every single day.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber is also in the studio with me. Tomorrow is August the 27th, 2021. And August 27th has always been a day of remembrance here in Lexington since that horrific plane crash that claimed the lives of 49 souls back in 2006. Amber, do you remember that famous plane crash in 2006?
Absolutely. I watched it from my dorm room.
It was Calm Air Flight 5191. And it was marketed as Delta Connection Flight 5191, and it was a scheduled United States domestic passenger flight from Lexington to Atlanta, Georgia, operated on behalf of Delta Connection by Calm Air. On the morning of August the 27th, 2006, at around 6 a.m., the jet crashed while attempting to take off from the Bluegrass Airport in Fayette County, Kentucky, 4 miles west of the Central Business District of the city of Lexington. So what happened, for those who don't know, is the aircraft was assigned the airport's runway 22 for the takeoff, but used runway 26 instead. Runway 26 was too short for a safe takeoff, causing the aircraft to overrun the end of the runway before it could become airborne. It crashed just past the end of the runway, killing all 47 passengers and 2 of the 3 crew. It was the second deadliest accident involving the CRJ 100/200. The flight's first officer, James Polhinkle, was the pilot flying at the time of the accident and was the sole survivor. In the National Transportation Safety Board's report on the crash, investigators concluded that the likely cause of the crash was pilot error. So I started to do some research, Amber, and I got really interested in the fact that it was pilot error, because it's scary because it was a human factor.
Exactly.
Which means it could have been avoided. And what scares me is you don't know if it was really the pilot's fault, if it was the air traffic controller's fault. You don't really know what's going on. So I started doing some digging. And Amber, have you ever heard of a CVR?
A CVR?
Yes, that stands for a cockpit voice recorder. A lot of people may know them as black boxes.
Yeah.
Some people call it the black box. Well, the black box is another word for a cockpit voice recorder, and that is placed. It is required to be placed in planes, and it records around 2 hours of your flight. And it's supposed to catch any type of, it's supposed to catch the audio inside the cockpit, just in case there's a plane crash. They're able to recover the black box because it's bright orange. They made it specifically for them to be able to discover it after it.
Wait, it's bright orange?
It's bright orange.
We call it the black box.
We call it the black box. And they use it to be able to help investigate what happened and what went wrong with the plane. So I have discovered the Comair 5191 black box recording, and I want to play it for the Lexington audience. And I want to tell everybody before I play this audio that the audio can be disturbing. And I want to give another disclaimer that the following audio that you are about to hear is very disturbing audio. So if you do not wish to proceed past this second, because I'm about to play the audio, I'll give you a couple seconds to tune off now. Okay, if you are still with us, I'm going to play the audio from the cockpit of Comair 5191. Let's take a listen.
I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, I see 7, but it's, yeah, there's a green extra on there. Can't proceed, push the foot to the fixed flight. All right, ready? All set. Trail leader coming 121, ready to go. Camera 191, Lexington, tail fly, runway heading cliff takeoff. Runway heading cliff takeoff 191. And line check. 2592, that heading more free if you want to go northwest around the weather that's ahead of you. No, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. What second, please? That's where that bad boy. 2592, contact Indian 126.37. Good. 186. 636. Transpose on back on, please close. Cliff takeoff, runway heading 6 grand. All right. Any flights I take a fix, okay? Line check excluded. All yours, Jim. I raise my control. You said press, please.
So, as you heard from the recording, the pilot was saying as he was driving down the runway or taxiing down the runway, he said, weird with no lights. So they noticed as they were going that the runway had no lights.
And if you've ever flown out of Lexington in the morning, you know it's lit up.
It's lit up
crazy, especially that 6 o'clock flight. You know, that's a daily commuter flight from here to Atlanta.
But it still didn't click. It did not click with the pilots that they were on the wrong runway. And everything's happening so fast when you're in a situation like that. I mean, and it was very sad. And every passenger on board died except the person flying the plane.
Yeah.
And he has some issues. I believe one of his legs got removed.
Yeah.
And I think he's got some brain damage from that as well. Just a very sad situation, and we do remember those involved in that horrible, horrible accident. But Amber, I started going down a rabbit hole after finding this black box.
Yeah.
And it made me start looking into other black box recordings that have been on planes before. One of the most famous black box recordings comes from the Hudson River plane crash.
Okay.
Do you remember? And this will make you feel a little better because all the passengers on that plane survived thanks to the pilot. Now, everybody should know this ordeal. It happened back in 2009. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 was going from LaGuardia Airport to Charlotte, North Carolina. And while on takeoff, they struck a flock of birds.
Oh.
And it made them lose power in both engines. Take a listen. And that was the end of that black box recording. What gets me and fascinates me and amazes me about that whole recording is how calm and collected this pilot sounds. Amber, you know when I'm under pressure, as you can tell before I get on the air, I'm all over the place. I'm frazzled. I can't remain that calm. He's about to crash with hundreds of people on board. He's in control of the plane, and he still has the capability to think, to concentrate, to talk logically to air traffic controller. My goodness, that was amazing.
And saved everybody on board.
Now, this next one that I'm going to play is from 1986. While working for WNBC 660 AM radio in New York City, Jane Dornacker was killed while giving a live traffic report on the air. So this not only was the black box recording, this actually happened live on the air. She was a traffic reporter in a helicopter, and this was the news report that she was giving when her life tragically ended. There you go.
Wow.
That happened on the radio, and that was also the black box recording. So it was simultaneously a very sad situation. I think helicopters are death traps. Are death traps anyway.
Yeah.
This next one that I'm going to play for everyone is a cockpit voice recording from Delta 1141. And Delta Airlines Flight 1141 was a domestic passenger flight between Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and Salt Lake City, Utah. On October 31st, 1988, the flight, a Boeing 727, crashed during takeoff of the 108 people on board. 14 were killed and 76 were injured. So I'm going to play the recording of that. And what I find just crazy about this recording is that the crew can be heard before the flight takes off joking about the plane crashing.
Oh, word.
So that's the first time I've ever heard literally of the pilots jinxing the flight before it took off.
And here we've already talked about it how many times on Off the Cuff. Like, we don't talk, we don't speak, we don't breathe when we're on flights. And here these people were joking.
They were joking, and because of their joking nature and goofing off, they forgot to extend the flaps, which caused them to crash.
And kill 14 people.
And kill people in the process. Okay, I'm going to play one more. And this one is Western Airlines Flight 2605. And it's the cockpit voice recorder. Western Airlines Flight 2605 was an international scheduled passenger flight from L.A. to Mexico City on October 31st. That's Halloween. 1979, the aircraft used for the flight, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10, crashed at Mexico City's International Airport in early morning fog after landing on a runway closed for maintenance. 72 of the 88 people on board, plus one person on the ground, was killed. So what it was here was there was supposed to be this pilot land on runway 23, which was on the left. And he had landed on that runway plenty of times before. But for some reason, that runway that he always lands on was closed for maintenance. And they had equipment on the runway. So he was supposed to not land on 23 left, but he was supposed to land on 23 right. And something so simple, something so small can cause a fatal error. That's why you can't have errors.
No.
You cannot have errors while flying. Let's take a listen. Very disturbing audios for people to listen to, but that's what you hear when you listen to a black box from an airplane. They use it to investigate these situations. They try to find out if it was pilot error. They try to find out if it wasn't. But sometimes black boxes are never discovered. I looked for the Kobe Bryant black box. We will never be able to hear it because there was no black box in his helicopter. He had it taken out in 2016. That is against the law. You're not supposed to do that, but he did. So there will not be a black box recording ever to really find out what happened. I think they determined it was just low visibility.
I think that was fog.
Yeah, I think that's for the most part what it was. But God bless those people who lost their lives on August the 27th, 2006 in that horrible plane crash in Lexington. And all of those who lost their lives on any plane crash, I couldn't think of a scarier way to go than falling out of the sky. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Radio Lex, the voice of the community, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
Well, he said it's too loud.
To learn how smart and equitable growth serves our community, join Fayette Alliance at a free 4-week Grow Smart Academy.
Don't tell me that on there.
Held on Zoom from 5:30 to 7 p.m. on the following Tuesdays, July 20th, July 27th, August 3rd, and August 10th. Hear from local experts on topics like transportation, economic development, and affordable housing. Learn how they impact our everyday lives. Attendees who complete all 4 weeks of Grow Smart Academy will be entered to win one of 50 tickets to Railbird Music Festival, August 28th and 29th. For more information or to enroll, visit FayetteAlliance.com/Grow Smart Academy.
Hey Lexington, if you're at least 16, you can get the COVID-19 vaccine.
I did it for my neighbor.
I did it for my family.
I did it for Sundays. I did it for Saturdays.
I did it for race days. I did it for my students.
I did it to see my friends.
I did it for my team.
Let's do this. Learn more at lexingtonky.gov/vaccines.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber is also in studio with me.
And never gonna fly again.
It's one of the scariest things. People really do have fears of flying. You know, Jimmy Cornette from the World Wrestling Federation, he has a fear of flying. That's nothing to really, I mean, we say that and we laugh, but that's really nothing to joke about. It's a real fear.
Well, what was it? Travis Barker finally got on a plane after how many years of not flying because he was in a crash?
Yeah.
And I mean, flight fear is such a thing. We've talked about it before on the show. So,
There's nothing else like it. But, Amber, the vaccine still seems to be the topic of conversation amongst everyone.
Everyone.
And it makes me so disgusted with how hateful and how mean people are to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just don't understand why people have to be so mean. And the thing is I don't understand why people want to force anything on anybody that they should get it or shouldn't get it. And I've never told anybody to do one or the other. I've always said what, Amber? What have I always told people to do?
Do your research.
Do your research. And the vaccine was pretty much available back in January for everybody here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me about 8 months of research before I decided to go get my first dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Now, do I think that I made the right decision? I hope I did. I'm putting it in the Lord's hands.
Yeah.
If it's not the right decision, then oh well, nothing I can do about it now. But you know what? According to my research, I feel like that I have.
Well, and isn't it funny that you waited and did your own research? And Adam, when we said do your own research, I just want to make it very clear that what we were just, letting the audience know was make sure you look at your own medical history. Make sure you see if you have any adverse reactions to things in your prior history. So when we were saying educate yourself, we were just saying educate yourself on your body, not what everyone is telling you, but specifically how something is going to interact with you on a physiological level.
Yes. And I don't know if everybody knows this. You probably have, or you're living under a rock, but the Pfizer vaccine is the first vaccine that becomes 100% FDA approved for COVID-19. The reason for that is because they were the first to apply for their approval. Moderna is expected to get approved next month because they were about, a month behind them applying for their approval. But it looks like that the FDA is going to approve those vaccines. And I think December is when the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is supposed to be sent in for approval.
Yes.
So the vaccine had initially been given emergency use. It was the 2-jab vaccine, talking about Pfizer. But now, if you're looking for a vaccine that's FDA approved, Pfizer's the one that you can go and get. But Amber, there have been a lot of people, a lot of companies in the United States that are making the vaccine mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
Making the vaccine mandatory in a lot of companies is going to change the way people go to work.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have the vaccine, you're not allowed to enter the building. Now, I'm going to give you a list of some of the companies here in the United States that is requiring the vaccine in order for you to work there.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, a lot of these companies are making this go into effect by a certain due date. They're giving you time.
Yeah.
They're giving you till some till the end of the year, some till February of next year, but they're giving you a time.
Yeah.
And some companies will fire you if they've already given you that deadline. Like CNN, they made you have a deadline. It's already passed. If you've not been vaccinated, you don't work there. So there's Amtrak, Anthem, Ascension Health, AT&T, Bank of America, BlackRock, Capital One, Cardinal Health, the Centene Corporation, Chevron, Cisco Systems, Citigroup, CNN, CBS, Delta Airlines, Deloitte, Facebook, Ford Motor, Frontier Airlines, Google, Hawaii Airlines, Jefferies Financial Group, Johnson & Johnson, Lyft, McDonald's, Microsoft, Morgan Stanley, Netflix, Northwestern Mutual, Pfizer, Saks Fifth Avenue, Tyson Foods, Uber Technologies, Union Square Hospitality Group, United Airlines, UPS, Walgreens, Walmart, Walt Disney, and the Washington Post. Now, what I don't understand about the whole McDonald's ban, you have to be vaccinated to work in the corporate office, but you don't have to be vaccinated to work in one of their restaurants.
So the people hanging out with the food,
and the
passing
people
out the food, touching the people,
Yeah,
they don't have to have it. But the people at the office pushing the paper, you got to have it, Janie, before you go in that printer room.
Exactly.
Okay, buddy, making so much sense to me.
Now, how does that make any sense, McDonald's? I question that. I do. In a statement, the FDA said its review for approval included data from approximately 44,000 people for the Pfizer vaccine. The vaccine, which will now be marketed as a new name called, and I can't say this, please tell me you know how to pronounce this name. It's Comirnaty, was found to be 91% effective in preventing the COVID-19 disease. But there you go. Do your research, folks. We are going to take off-the-cuff Song of the Week break, roll down them windows, and enjoy a little Willie Nelson, The Skies Are So Blue. So how about some blue skies? We'll be back after the song.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds sing a song, nothing but blue skies from now on. I never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, how they fly by. Blue days, forward and gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. nothing but blue skies do I see. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. Blue skies smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Blue days all gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. Blue skies smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I.
And I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
That's the worst song ever made.
Nothing like Willie Nelson, a living legend, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a Willie Nelson fan?
You know I am.
Snoop Dogg really did say the only person to ever outsmoke him was Willie.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot to live as long as he has. And do it so gracefully, so I can only imagine how much he smokes.
Amber, we have talked about the hit show, or at least I'm calling it a hit, The Dark Side of the 90s.
Yeah.
It's a great show. Each episode covers a dark time from the 90s. The latest episode, they talked about Baywatch. Baywatch was just one of those shows that was just always funny to me. It was always weird when I seen it on the air because it literally was just a bunch of fit lifeguards saving people's lives, and in the midst of it, they were having a bunch of sex.
Yes.
That's what it was about.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, the show ran for 10 years.
Are you serious?
From 91 to 2001.
Good night.
A lot of weird things happened for the cast of Baywatch. It was very crucial for the cast to remain a good-looking body.
Oh, boy, yeah.
It was in their contracts. It was stipulated that nobody could gain weight. And I thought it was funny that they also mentioned that 40 bottles of sunscreen were used each month on the set of Baywatch because they filmed in those sunny beaches of LA.
Yeah.
They also said that they hired a real lifeguard to help with plot details.
Well, at least they got something right.
David Hasselhoff, the star of Baywatch, actually cut his salary for the show. We learned that. So the studio could afford to keep the show on. And because of the Hoff doing that, he ultimately came out on top because ultimately, after the show was proved a success, he got to be the executive producer and got a greater share of the profits.
Well, look at there.
Yeah. They also mentioned that on Baywatch, Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to play David Hasselhoff's son.
Ooh, that would have been a good one.
Right? And but David Hasselhoff didn't want Leo because he thought that Leo was going to grow too tall to play his son.
No, I'm sure that's why he didn't want him on there.
Yeah. Hasselhoff didn't want Pam Anderson on either.
Well.
And we all know who the real star of Baywatch was.
That's what I was going to say.
The true breakout star of Baywatch was Pam Anderson. But I thought it was just a pretty cool episode to watch. And I think the reason they called it a dark moment in time was because of the pressure to look so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sex sells.
Sex sells. And they had all that pressure while being on that show. But it was a good episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got one more segment to go. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
You being threatened with eviction because of COVID-19? Is your landlord being uncooperative with filing for relief funds? The Lexington Human Rights Commission can help. We investigate discrimination claims, and there is no fee for our services. If you have a discrimination complaint, you can file it online at lexhumanrights.org or call us at 252-4931.
You're You're invited to the Bluegrass Craft Beer and Bourbon Festival, presented by GC Media on September 18th at the Moondance Amphitheater. With more than 20 local craft breweries and bourbon distillers, you'll enjoy live music from African-American country artists Freddie P. and the Timmy Dunn Band. Cornhole competitions, food trucks, and more. For tickets and information, please visit bgcbbf.com/tickets. Again, that's bgcbbf.com/tickets. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Radio Lex.
Radio Lex has the support of vinyl sponsor Marilyn Daniel. Thanks, Marilyn.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber is also in studio with me. Last segment of the hour. Since we were talking about the dark side of the 90s, that awesome TV show that covers a dark moment in time of the 90s, it also had an episode that we forgot to talk about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was about the grunge scene in LA, or was it in Seattle? Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and
Soundgarden.
So many bands from the grunge era that made it.
Chains. There we go. I forgot that one.
Oh, yes. But Nirvana has been in the news as of late, and it's not because of Kurt Cobain. And I feel like every time you hear something about Nirvana, it's something about Kurt Cobain.
Absolutely.
But no, the reason that Nirvana is back in the news is because this song right here, Smells Like Teen Spirit, it comes from an album, and that album was called Nevermind.
Yep.
Now, the Nevermind album had a cover on it,
Ooh.
and the cover is one of the most sold covers of all time. It's one of the most popular album covers of all time. One of the most recognizable album covers of all time, because it's a naked baby. It's a naked baby, completely nude.
Yeah.
No underwear, no diapers, nothing. And now the baby is all grown up, and the baby, his name is Spencer Eldon. He's now 30 years old, and he says that he is now going to sue for his picture. He said because of the psychological damage that it has caused him. He said, Spencer Eldon said that his parents never gave their release for the photos and were not paid. Image was snapped in 1990 in Pasadena when Elder was 4 months old. The cover shows a naked baby, as I mentioned, swimming underwater toward a dollar bill on a string.
Yeah.
And Ellen is asking for at least $150,000 from each of 17 defendants named in the suit. The album sold more than 30 million records. So 17 defendants, 150,000 times 17. You got a phone right there?
Money.
I want you to 150,000 times 17. I guarantee you that it is millions of dollars that he's going to ask for.
Be 2.5.
And he's probably hoping to settle for about 1.6 or 1.7.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and I tell you, I don't know how I do feel about it. I do think the album cover was inappropriate. I don't want to see naked babies. I don't like it when I get on Facebook and I see it. I actually get really mad.
I mute people that put naked photos of their children on social media.
Don't put naked photos of your picture of your kids.
Because I'm 100% going to talk about you
on social media. Well, because the kid doesn't want you to do that.
No.
They are not old enough for you to do that. And don't be exposing your kid's naked body on the filthy internet.
Exactly.
Where there's pedophiles.
Nasty people.
Sitting in front of the computer liking what they see.
And people think if they put little stickers over just their little privates, like that's going, no, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Put your children's clothing on.
And don't you have any respect for your kids?
Don't you have any respect for yourself?
Because when those kids grow up, they're going to say, why'd you do that?
Well, and, you know, I always hear that, I'm a mama bear. I hate that. I absolutely
Mama
hate
bear.
that. Mama bear. Well, mama bear, you should want to always protect your children. And as a child who suffered sexual abuse growing up, you ain't a mama bear if you snapping their pictures and putting their little butts up on the internet.
Yeah, mama bear, real protective there, showing her baby nude on the internet.
Yeah.
And
it must be a polar bear.
Yeah, it happens all the time, and you see it all the time. But When I heard that he was asking for money, I'm not going to I don't know how I feel about it still. I can see his side, and I'll say I can see his side because I don't know the man. I don't know what kind of damage, I don't know the kind of damage that it really did do to him. It's unfair to say why now, why is he coming out now? Because you could say that about anybody that comes forward with sexual allegations now instead of 20 years ago. So I think maybe he's had the gumption to stand up and say, you know what, it's no longer cool that I'm the naked baby on the album cover of Nirvana. That actually effed me up a lot.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that stance. That would be exactly how I would feel, but I tell you, I would not recreate that same pose on multiple occasions as I aged throughout life if this was something that so affected me in a way that I needed to do civil suits against people, because this photo was recreated by this defendant the entire time.
And that's where I go on the other side. Remember I said I'm really not sure how I feel about it, because it was kind of what I explained before and kind of what you said.
Yeah.
He has recreated this picture before.
Several times.
And I think the defense will definitely use that against him when they are trying. Well, I guess the defense is going to have to use that to try to help their case, and I think it will. That's very impactful.
It is, Again, I try to not ever, put my own survivor techniques on other people, but I just know that, I when I speak about my issues, it was never multiple times that I recreated the incidents as to which I was talking about.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for another episode of Off the Cuff. You can listen to all of our previous episodes by going to Spotify or iTunes. All of our podcasts are listed there. You can listen to new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9 FM. You can follow me on social media at The Adam Banks. You can follow Amber on social media at Ambu447. You can follow Off the Cuff on social media at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Amber Turner. I'm Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. We'll see you next Thursday.